What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another video, guys. As you guys can see from the title and the thumbnail, today I'm going to be showing you guys exactly the best builds that I have found out and came across on NBA 2K21 Arcade Edition on mobile. Okay, it's a mobile game. Okay, so basically, for those of you that do not know this already, 2K21 have a game, Arcade Edition on mobile. Okay, it's on Apple Arcade. You could download the game right now. But even though I did introduce this game to you guys on my channel yesterday, okay, the last video I made had this many views, okay, it has almost 1,000 views, and for those of you that watched the video, I appreciate all of the support. Now, if we could do the exact same thing for this video, my first time showing you guys these builds, please be sure to drop a big like, big facts, okay, and also don't forget to go ahead and subscribe to my channel. So far, we are making some big progress, okay. With that being said, let's get right into it. Okay, now we have to go to my career, right? If you guys have the game, you go to my career. Yes, they do have a my player builder, so you can create your own player. You know, you can't do a face scan, unfortunately, but that's not the point. The point for today's video is that I am going to show you guys these builds that I have came across, and I made these builds on my own thanks to this game for having a my player builder. You can create your own archetype on this game. Now we just start with the point guard. Do not use these builds, please. Don't use these reset builds. Okay, now starting with the point guard build. Now, as you guys can see, we got the skill breakdown from 1, 2, we got 3, we got 4, over here we got 5, we got the 6 skill breakdown, we got 7, we got 8, and right here we got 9, and last but not least 10. Right in front of you, you guys can see the attributes, of course, the starting point and the max point. We get to max all your attributes, and plus we have the batch upgrades to your very right. So this is basically the same thing as you guys could see in the console version of 2K21. Now, for all of you guys that want an all-around build, okay, like I said, you can make this type of build any way you want, okay? You guys can make any build you want, but for the builds that I created personally, I'm going to go ahead and choose one of these specific, skill breakdowns, okay? It's between either 2, 3, in my mind I have 2, 6, 5. I want an all-around build that can shoot, that can get some playmaking badges, that could get all types of badges all in one build, okay? All in one player. So therefore, these options are in my mind right now. It's between 2, 5, and 6. But so far, I'm looking at the playmaking badges, I'm looking at the shooting badges, and of course the finishing badges. But for right now, I ended up going to choose with number 6, okay? So therefore, number 6 is my personal option. And here we got the physical profile. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and here number 5. Now we need ourselves a player that can speed and that can obviously shoot the ball more. So I'm definitely going with number 1, okay? That would give you more speed. Now moving on towards the height of your my player build. Now in my mind right now, I have at least 6'2", between 6'2" to 6'3". Maybe 6'4", but at the same time, I want to go ahead and give a specific guard with a standard height, okay? Around 6'2" or 6'3", but in my opinion, I want this dude to be a little bit taller, so we're going to go ahead and stay with the modest 6'3", okay? Right-handed, jersey number 95, so that is the offensive all-around player point guard build that I made myself. Now, moving on to the shooting guard build. Now, keep this in mind, okay? Most of these archetypes or positions in this case, for example, the guards, they will have their attributes arranged differently depending on the height and depending on the position you chose, okay? But for right now, for the shooting guard build, when it comes to me, I have to go and choose either between number 6 and number 7 or number 3. Okay, that's obviously in what I have in my mind right now, but between number 2 and number 3, so I have to go ahead and choose which one of these type of attributes I will put the most. But looking at number 5, it do have a little bit of less defense, but we need an all-around build with more badges added into as a my player, okay? So you have to choose these attributes wisely. You gotta choose these decisions wisely, okay? So, in my opinion, I would go for number 6 because you have more playmaking badges, more shooting badges, a few finishing badges, but you will still be an offensive all-around player. Now, moving on to the physical profile, it got number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Once again, of course, arranged differently depending on the position. But for me, I want to have the exact same speed that I would definitely go with number 1 here, okay? So it's my type of option. And now we are in the height, okay? So it's between 6'3" and 6'4". You would want to make him a little bit taller, but at the same time, not too tall. So I'm going to stay in the middle of 6'4", okay? My prominent build for a shooting guard all around my player build, okay? Now, heading into the small forward for the big boys. Me personally, I would choose the small forward builds. Now, there are two types of builds I would go for in the small forward position, and most likely all of the other positions next afterwards. Offensively and defensively. That's the major difference. That's like the main key point towards this point of the video. Now, you see the skill breakdowns, right? Now, if I want to be an offensive small forward, if I want to be on the offensive side, I would personally go for number 2, number 3, or number 4. It's between all of these. You know what I'm saying? Like, it takes a prime decision just to go ahead and choose wisely. But I would definitely, in my opinion, go for number 6 so you can absolutely shoot more, have more offensive skill. Now, like I said before, the physical profile can be arranged differently depending on the position. Now, for the small forward position, you could barely have any speed. You could barely gain any speed. But if I want to be offensive, I will still keep up with number 1 is my primary choice, being my primary choice. Okay, now here we are at the height section. Now, to me, this is basically the easier part. But if you want to be offensive, if you want to be an offensive small forward, I would rather go with either 6'6" or 6'7". But basically, having the modest amount of height possible for this my player build, I would rather stand for 6'7". Even though I would go for 6'6" as my second choice, but this would be my main choice, so you can run a little bit more, gain more speed, just trying to accelerate a little bit. But for the defensive builds, however, I would definitely go with number 9, so you can claim more defense, have 20 defensive badges. And for the speed, however, of course, it's going to be a lot different, so therefore, I'm going to go ahead and scroll through all of these. But if you want to be a defensive build, you have to have a little bit of speed. I would go between number 1, number 3, and number 4, because you need more strength if you want to be, on the defensive side, okay? You want a little bit more strength, not a lot of vertical, because you guys can still reach for it either way since you are a small forward. So therefore, I would go for number 1 here as always. And for the height, I would definitely go ahead and go up an inch taller and be on a modest 6'8", because it would be a lot more taller, you know what I'm saying, if you want to have a huge height advantage, towards the opponent and everything. You could be with a 6'7" player, it don't really matter, but I would rather go with 6'8". I don't want to go too high around the 6'9". So therefore, I will stay over here at this point of the height at 6'8", a defensive build this time, okay? A defensive small forward build. Heading inside to the power forward. Now, for the power forwards, I would rather do the exact same thing, both the offensive builds and defensive builds, just like we did earlier in the small forward builds. This would go on to the rest of the other positions, you know what I'm saying? All the forwards, and especially the centers, okay? We will get to centers in just a moment later on in the video. But for now, we're just stick with the power forwards. Now, if I want to have an offensive build, like usual, if you want a build to shoot at a power forward position, with this much height as possible, I will stick with either number 3, I would go with number 5, or number 6, okay? Those are my 3 main decisions right now with the power forward build. Even though I will like a few more badges, just for the playmaking side, but you can still shoot a little bit either way from the corner 3s. So therefore, I would rather personally go for number 8 as my main choice for a power forward offensive build. Now, for the physical profile, I would obviously go with between number 2, number 3, or number 1, because basically, I need a little bit more speed, but I also need a little bit more of acceleration as well. So therefore, I would definitely go with number 1 right here. 62 speed and 54 acceleration. Now, for the height, you could go between at least 6'10" or 6'11". I don't want to make the power forward a little bit too small, but at the same time, I would rather stick with the modest build. I don't want to make him a little too tall either. So therefore, it's between 6'10" or 6'11". Now, personally, I would go with 6'10" as my second choice, right? I would give it 6'10" because it would get more speed, you would get more acceleration in between, you would get more badges, you would get more attributes maxed up. But for me, I would stick with 6'11" for the moment being, okay? So 6'11" sounds like the right height to me for a power forward offensive build. Now, for the defensive build, I would definitely go with between number 9 and number 10, okay? Now, I would definitely go ahead and choose number 9 because you get more defensive badges along with it. Now, for the physical profiles, I would go with number 4 or number 3 or number 5. So those are my 3 top decisions so far, but I wouldn't have that much speed because it's going to be a little bit bigger because due to the fact that it is completely a defensive power forward build. So I don't know, man, but therefore I would definitely go with number 3, just for the modest. I just want to get all the attributes in there. Now, for the height, I would definitely go for either 6'11" or 6'10" once again. However, I would want to go ahead and use you know what I'm saying, a smaller height. But even though I would go for 6'11", that's my second choice. But for now, 6'10", I know it may sound a little crazy, but 6'10" is my personal choice for the height. Now for the moving centers. Now for the centers out there, for the big men, you guys will want to do the exact same thing for the last time, both offensive build and the defensive build, okay? So I'm looking forward to, putting all of these attributes together in one player. So right now I'm looking at the skill breakdown, and so far I'm barely seeing any build, any skills that has enough badges for this player, because, if you're a center, you're a little bit bigger than usual, so therefore I would rather go ahead and choose the most fitting skill there is. All right, so therefore it's between number 3 and number 9. Number 3, I would rather deal with number 3, because if you want to be an offensive player, have a little bit of playmaking or a little bit of finishing, because you need to go ahead and just go off in the paint, I will do with number 3. Okay, now for the physical profiles, these are not as important because you will not get that much speed as a center, but you will have a little bit more acceleration and a little bit more strength as well. So therefore I would rather go ahead and choose number 3 to my modest decision point. Okay, so for the height, it is completely obvious at this point. It is completely obvious. I would rather go ahead. If you want to be 7'2" just for a little bit more speed, that's fine, even though it's not going to give you as much speed. So therefore, I am going to go ahead and go all the way tall and stick with 7'3". The same thing for the defensive build. I would definitely choose number 10, because check this out. You get more finishing badges and you will have more defensive attributes plus more defensive badges along with it. So therefore, I would rather choose number 10 as my primary skill breakdown. And for the physical profile, however, you will have more strength, okay? You will have a little bit of speed and a little bit of vertical as well. But for me, at this point, that will not be certainly the case. So therefore, I would go ahead and rather choose number 3 as my main choice, because I am a defensive center build. I have a defensive center build. So therefore, I will stick with the same exact height here as well. So you want to be 7'2", that's fine. But for me, everybody can do the same thing as well. I would definitely go with 7'3". I would give a 7'3" max height, because I will have more strength plus more badges and more defensive attributes for the defensive builds, okay? So, there you guys have it. Those are all of the builds. Each and every single position has at least an offensive build and a defensive build for that exact position, okay? Most likely for the small forward, the power forward, and the center, okay? The point guard and shooting guards, their builds can be exactly the same, because, they had to be offensive. But at the same time, guys, if you guys want to make a build for your own, let me know down below in the comment section which build you guys like the most. If you guys want to make your own, that's fine. I got more videos coming soon on the way here at 2K21 Arcade Edition. With that being said, drop a like on this video, sub to the channel if you're new. It's your boy Viral either way, and I am signing out.